social media is now the main source of news in the United States, in and across the United States. Research suggests. That was on bbc.co.uk. The news site. Social media is now the main source of news. People's main source of news is now what they find in social media, according to a United States study, to which the only reasonable response is, well, yeah, it shows. It shows. It's not ambiguous. It's not, a shocker. To be honest with you, social media is now the main source of news for most Americans. I'd sort of reached that conclusion myself a while ago, actually. When I looked at the cosplay cretins overrunning Congress, invading government buildings, because they think they're in some imagined reality movie about stolen elections and the deep state and shit. Or like when they started talking about Jewish space lasers and chemtrails and 5G vaccines and crisis actors. I mean, I kind of put 2 and 2 together there, lads. That maybe they weren't just repeating what they'd heard on the evening news that night. Maybe they were sourcing their information from elsewhere. Social media is now, in North America, in the United States, it is the main source of news for most Americans. It shows, guys. Honestly, it does. And the rest of the article makes for grim fucking reading. Check out some of these stats, right? This is according to the Reuters Institute, which has now been reported by BBC News. And the Reuters Institute say more than half, 54% of people get news from networks like Facebook, X, and YouTube. Various reactionary channels on YouTube or X or whatever. 54%. And that's overtaking TV, which is slumped to 50%, and news sites and apps, which 48% of people use. Almost a quarter, 22% of the population had come across news or commentary from Joe Rogan. In the previous week, in the last 7 days, almost a quarter of Americans had been exposed to some of the highbrow, highly respected journalistic musings of Joseph Rogan. It says, personality-driven news represents a significant challenge for traditional outlets. And the report notes a trend where politicians give their time to sympathetic online hosts like Joe Rogan or Tim Dillon, or who are the other guys from that lot? The Fighter and the Kid is another one. And there's a sort of the redneck guy I forget his name, but all of that sort of Rogan sphere of podcasts who then go on to interview, JD Vance or Donald Trump or whoever. It says they note a trend where politicians give their time to sympathetic online hosts rather than be grilled by mainstream news and journalism style interviewers, which obviously enables them then to escape accountability, doesn't it? But they still get to appear like they're facing the public, don't they? But then they're rarely asked any actual, difficult, taxing, probing questions in those interviews. Have you seen the Tim Dillon one with JD Vance? Have you seen the Joe Rogan one with Donald Trump? It's like an hour or 2 hours of tummy tickling. How is that facing the public? How is that accountability? In fact, conversely, rather than being held to account or asked really difficult questions, actually the hosts, according to this report, get implicated in spreading false narratives or even all-out disinformation. It says, despite their popularity, online influencers and personalities were named as a major source of false or misleading information by almost half of people worldwide, 47%, putting them level with politicians. So like your Tim Dillons, your Tucker Carlsons, your Joe Rogans are now seen, in terms of like spreading political lies, they are seen or perceived to be, off the back of this survey by Reuters, they are perceived to be every bit as dishonest as mainstream politicians. Well, there's something kind of, darkly, depressingly funny about that, isn't it? Like where politicians warm to these reactionaries, to these podcast hosts, in the hope that it will make them appear more like the everyman. It will make them, the MAGA movement, appear kind of fun or funny or edgy or a little bit punk rock or so. I think there's something to that, right? They want to be on the Tim Dillon show. They want to be on Joe Rogan because they think they can borrow some credibility from these people. Borrow some cool. Mortgage some cool off Joe Rogan. And actually, it's the inverse. It's like, I don't think they get to look cool or borrow some cool or anything. I actually think Joe Rogan and Tim Dillon get infected with a dishonesty and brand cancer of fucking J.D. Vance, of the couch fucker.
Just another video with Adrian Thompson.